You know that feeling when you order a slushy machine online, see those glossy photos of bright, perfectly frozen drinks, and then the unit you get ends up sputtering half-melted slush that sticks to the cup and takes forever to clean? It's a nightmare for anyone who's trying to keep a bar line moving or a kid's party from turning into a sticky mess. I've spent the last few weeks watching a handful of cafes and pop-up stands test a few different models, and I'm going to save you from that disappointment. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the VEVOR 12-liter slushy machine is built for places that need to churn out more than a handful of drinks per hour. What sets it apart from the cheaper countertop versions is that it actually comes with 4 separate tanks, each with its own temperature control. In a real-world setting, that means you can have frozen margaritas, a fruit-based slush, a classic cola slush, and a milkshake all ready at the same time, without having to swap syrup containers or wait for one flavor to clear out before you can start the next. For a bar that wants to run a Margarita Monday happy hour, that independence can keep the line moving while you keep the vibe lively. The capacity itself, roughly 3 gallons total, translates to about 40 to 50 servings before you have to refill. In the restaurant I visited, the chef said they could keep a brunch crowd supplied for an entire hour with just one refill. That's a real advantage when you're serving a 30-person table and can't afford to have a machine hiccup in the middle of a rush. The size does mean you'll need a decent amount of floor space, though. The unit is about the size of a small chest freezer, so you'll want a dedicated spot near your prep area rather than squeezing it onto a crowded bar top. Ease of operation is another claim VEVOR makes, and in practice the control panel is genuinely straightforward. There's a simple dial for each tank that lets you set the texture from a light, icy slush to a thicker, sorbet-like consistency. You don't have to be a technician to dial it in. Just a quick test with a small cup, and you're good to go. The real time saver, however, is the self-cleaning function. Instead of disassembling the whole thing and scrubbing every gasket, you run the cleaning cycle, add the recommended cleaning solution, and the machine flushes the interior tanks by itself. In a busy bar that turns over dozens of drinks per shift, cutting down the cleaning time from 15 minutes to under 5 can be the difference between staying open and having to shut down early. Now, no machine is perfect, and the VEVOR does have a few practical trade-offs. Because it's designed for continuous commercial use, it runs on a standard 110-volt outlet, but draws a solid amount of power, roughly 800 watts per tank, when it's chilling at full blast. If you're in a location with limited circuit capacity, you might need to talk to an electrician before plugging it in. The unit also weighs close to 120 pounds, so moving it once it's set up is a 2-person job. That's not an issue for a permanent installation, but if you're thinking about a portable setup for a festival or a pop-up, you'll need a sturdy cart or a dedicated space. Who should consider this machine? If you own a mid-size restaurant, a bar that features frozen cocktails, a catering business that serves events with a fun drink station, or even a community center that hosts regular teen parties, the 4-tank layout and sizable batch size will pay for itself quickly. The ability to run 4 flavors at once eliminates the bottleneck of swapping syrups, and the self-cleaning cycle keeps labor costs low. It also makes sense for a coffee shop that wants to branch out into cold desserts. Think frozen cappuccino or a berry lime slush to pair with a pastry. On the flip side, if you're a home user who just wants an occasional frozen drink for weekend gatherings, the footprint and power draw make it overkill. There are plenty of smaller, countertop models that will fit on a kitchen counter and only require a single flavor at a time. Likewise, if you run a very tight kitchen where every square foot is at a premium, the machine size could crowd out essential prep space. Finally, if you're looking for a unit that can double as an ice maker or a freezer, you'll be disappointed. This machine is strictly a slushy and frozen drink maker, not a multi-purpose freezer. One thing I noticed while testing the machine in a real bar environment was how the independent tanks helped with inventory management. The staff could keep a full barrel of margarita mix in one tank while using a smaller batch of fresh fruit puree in another, without worrying about cross-contamination. The separate controls also meant that if a particular flavor ran low, they could simply refill that tank while the other 3 kept churning. That kind of flexibility,